Hey, everybody, welcome back to I Know a Guy. I'm Anthony, and this is the podcast where connections thrive. Each episode, we spotlight inspiring entrepreneurs, professionals, and individuals doing amazing things. Together, we'll grow your circle, spark collaborations, and discover new opportunities. Today, we're meeting Rachel Rozen, a former chief customer officer turned connection coach who helps professionals transform networking from icky to sticky. With her experience connecting with 300 people in a year, Rachel empowers professionals to build authentic relationships that lead to lasting opportunities. How are you doing today, Rachel?
Great. How are you, Anthony? Thanks for having me.
No, I'm doing great as well. I was looking forward to having you on. You're doing great things, and we definitely synergize in the whole connecting and helping people grow space. So I would love to have you on, share that insight, because I'll be taking notes, and I know there's a lot of other people out there that could benefit from it as well. So to start off, where are you calling in from? Where are you located?
I live in Brooklyn, New York now.
Okay, awesome. Well, you said
Yeah.
now, so are you newer to the area?
No, I've actually been here for almost 12 years. I grew up in upstate New York, but I lived all over the country for 13 years before I moved here.
Okay, awesome. So if you have friends coming into town, right, they've never been, where are you taking them? What are you doing? And where are you guys going for dinner?
There's a million places to go for dinner. Depends what you want to eat, what neighborhood you're in, what are we celebrating. There's lots of places. I'm planning a dinner right now to go to Cosme with a bunch of people coming into town in March, which I'm really excited about. Cosme is a Mexican restaurant that has one Michelin star. They have a few other restaurants within that restaurant group, one in LA. Their main restaurant is Pujol in Mexico City, which I've yet to go to, but I've heard great things about.
Awesome. Well, what's fun there? You know, like you said, you have everything at your disposal, but like, what do you do for fun there?
Well, the thing about New York is that you can do anything or nothing. So it really just depends upon what you want. In the summertime, I love going to New York Mets games. I also like going to Broadway shows. The fun thing to do there is to play the lottery for Broadway shows. Uh, Give a really good chance of winning if you go by yourself because they have tickets either as one or twos. But if you get a single ticket, that's a great way to get to see lots of shows, and they're generally under $50, including fees. And you can sometimes you get not so great seats, but oftentimes you get really good seats. Like I saw Six the musical, I was in the second row. I saw American in Paris many years ago in the second row. So lots of shows that you can see, but you can really pretty much do anything that you want in New York.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be a lot of fun. So what can you tell us about what you do?
So I work with individuals and teams to help people learn how to network more efficiently, effectively, and really turn it into a habit. Because networking is a skill set, and a lot of people don't realize that it is. You're just told to go network, but they don't get really good at it because we're just doing it in any shape or form. The same way if someone was to say, oh, you need to go run a marathon. Well, if you don't get a trainer to train you how to run that marathon, yeah, you might be able to finish the marathon, but you're going to feel pretty shitty afterwards. So, how can we do it right in a way that you're going to keep doing it over and over and over again without even thinking about it? And I really love working with people to help them find those connections that are just going to help them over time and really make it be a seamless process. So it doesn't become so much of a struggle. It's just something that you do the same as you brush your teeth every day.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely true. You might be able to finish, but it's way harder than it needed to be. So,
Yeah, exactly.
how'd you get into this? You know, is this something that you're always planning on doing, or did you kind of back into it?
No, not at all. I mean, if someone was to say to me 10 years ago, Rachel, you're going to be a networking coach, I would probably have laughed in their face. I was, as you mentioned in the intro, I was formerly a chief customer officer at a food tech company. And when I left that role, I was all the way at the top on the C suite, and I really didn't want to keep doing that, but I wasn't sure what I wanted to do next. And I was a workaholic. I had worked a ton and not really built my network. And when it came time to look for that next role, I didn't even know where to start because I really only knew my customers and the clients that I worked with. So I had to start from scratch. And that's really where I leaned into networking. But I come from the hospitality industry. So I leaned into my relationship building experience there to start working on how can I really build my network out? Who should I be talking to? How do I have these conversations? How do I grow this in a way that's going to help me get to my next career opportunity, and realizing it's more than just looking for a job. It's something that you need throughout your life. And it's a skill that we all can use for everything from looking for clients to making friends, moving to different cities, just having people in your wheelhouse that you can connect someone else to, the same as what you're doing with this podcast. And, anybody can not know who they can connect somebody to, but once that person comes into their orbit, they're like, oh, I know a guy or I know a person, right? So the more people you know, the more diverse your network is, the more that ends up benefiting you as well, because people will start to remember you when you help them as well.
Oh yeah, that's fantastic, and you're absolutely right. The more people that know what you do and they have a good opinion of you, and you've been able to maybe add some value to that, the better it is for no matter what business it is. If you can network and communicate with people, you're going to be better off than if you can't, and that's universal. I'm sorry, but
Totally.
us humans, we're social creatures. We need a network. We can't do everything
Yeah.
on our own, nor should you try. So absolutely, I love that. What do you love about what you're doing?
I really love seeing people grow and also build that confidence, specifically in the way that they're having conversations with people, who they're talking to, and they're talking to people that they would never expect that they would talk to, or have conversations that have fruitful outcomes where as prior to working with me, they may have a conversation but get nothing out of it. And I work with all different types of people. Some people over network, which when I tell people that, they are often shocked. But those are the people that go to like every conference that comes their way, but they never follow up with anyone. So teaching them or relearning how to make those connections become fruitful. How can you make them sticky and not just a transaction? I love that aspect of it as well.
No, that's absolutely right. A lot of people, they focus on that first meeting. It's like I got to go talk to a bunch of people, and then you never talk to them again. And
Yeah,
so,
exactly.
what good did it really do for you? Maybe it was a little practice, but practice on doing the wrong thing, because
Yeah,
the idea behind networking is to actually connect. The first meeting is kind of the screening. Do I want to meet this person again, or not? Right.
right.
So reach back out, have that conversation. Don't just say, I got to go talk to somebody else. I've already talked to this person. Build that relationship.
Yeah.
Um, so what are some mistakes, or some, hard won lessons that you learned since starting this, or maybe that you've seen other entrepreneurs making, that if you were to go back in time when you were first starting, that you'd kind of advise yourself to look out for?
I think the biggest thing for me was people kept telling me I had to define my ICP, or my ideal customer profile. And it came from the tech industry, so ICP is a term that's used all the time. And I really was pigeonholing myself and trying to focus on one specific type of customer versus allowing myself to see who's attracted to me and who wants to work with me. And that's really helped me expand more, because I have clients that are college students all the way to C-suite execs. I have people that are starting their own business, people that move to a new city, people that want to get promoted within a company that they already work at, people that are looking for their next job, people that are starting a new career and now all of a sudden have to, or have transitioned their career and now all of a sudden have to make contacts in that industry where they had it before. And I love the diversity aspect of what I do. I'm working with all different types of people, because the through line is very similar in that everybody needs to network and everyone's doing it in a very similar way. It doesn't matter if you're a college student or you're a C-suite executive, you still are going to have the same, you still have to have a conversation. You still need to follow up. You still need to do your research. There's a lot of things that are the same. And I wish from the very beginning that was a case, but at the same time, you have to go through growing pains regardless of the type of company that you're in. And when I first started as well, I wasn't exactly sure what my offering was going to be. And I've settled more into what that looks like. And I think that was also a learning for myself, where a lot of people are telling me, oh, you have to just focus on one thing, where I focus on a couple different things. And I'm glad that I didn't listen to them.
Okay, interesting. I like to ask what your average client looks like. But in your case, what are the pain points that somebody might be going through, that if they're dealing with XYZ, you're the person that they should be talking to?
Yeah, so people work with me for a lot of different reasons. One, they are don't know how to talk about themselves. That's a big pain point. Or they don't know how to talk about their company. They don't know how to ask for something. That's where a lot of people are challenged. They are afraid to ask. Also, people that are looking for new clients, but don't know how to have a good conversation with them and are trying to sell them versus building a relationship with them. How do we build those relationships? People that want to learn more about or gain more better relationships within the company that they're working at. And that's a big area where, oh, I might have worked at a company for a long time, or I work in this department, but I don't know anybody in any other department. How can I start building those relationships with other people? And oftentimes I have clients that just don't have the time, or they keep saying they don't have the time to network. And so, how can we find that time to make it be meaningful for you, or showing up in places that make the most sense? Because the way that I'm going to network may be different than you. Like, you may love going to conferences and I hate them, or you may hate one on ones and I love them. Whatever it might be, how do we figure out like what is the best way for you to spend your time so you're getting the most out of it, instead of saying, oh, I can never network? Because there's lots of different ways to approach that.
Yeah, for sure. And to what you were saying earlier, learning not to pitch slap is probably step one for a lot of people, because you get into a sales position, or you get into you're an entrepreneur, you need to talking about yourself. It's important. People need to know what you do, but knowing how to do that so that it's not off-putting, because it's happened to every one of us. And when somebody pitch slaps you, you're like, oh, that was gross. Don't ever do that again.
Right.
And a lot of us, it takes feeling that to go, oh, I've been doing that to people, I should probably never do that again. So yeah, I like that. What about power partners? Who do you synergize well with? What are other industries or professionals that you might have a lot of potential collaborations with?
Yeah, so other coaches, a lot of coaches talk about networking, but they don't just focus on that. So if they have clients that really need to dig into networking, that's always a positive. I'm always looking for opportunities to speak at companies. So those that are in HR departments or sales teams, bringing me in either through an employee resource group, an ERG, or talking to through a sales kickoff, or different places within either be companies or communities. To talk about networking is always a positive thing too, because people need to learn how to do it. And again, we realize that it's often a skill set that doesn't exist.
Yeah, yeah, definitely overlooked. How can professionals make networking feel more natural and authentic?
I think a big thing is that word, authentic. Show up as your best, genuine, authentic self. Don't try to impress somebody. Just be you. And if you show up as your best, genuine, authentic self, it automatically will come naturally. When you go in trying to impress, like we were just talking, oh, I need to pitch somebody on what I do, that's when we're inauthentic, because we're not showing our true selves. And I like to say, try to learn about people. I have a framework called the 3 Ps, which is passion, personal, and problem. Can you learn about someone's passions, something personal about them, or a problem that they're trying to solve? Go with the giving first versus the taking.
Yeah, I love the term or phrase, be interested, not interesting, right? So they want to talk about themselves as much as you do, right?
Yeah,
So let them. They're going to like you more for letting them. So
absolutely. And be
do that.
curious too.
Mhm.
Lean
Yeah.
in and ask people, they say make a comment, you can say, well, tell me more about that. And keep asking questions to learn more about them.
If you let somebody go long enough, it's typically around the 10-minute mark. If you're asking actually engaging questions, not just high level stuff, uh, and they get past their rehearsed bit, you'll start going into areas and hearing things that you wouldn't have otherwise, where they might go, I've never told anybody that before. Or they'll go on and on and on, and you might never get a chance to talk. But when they're done, they're going to be like, I am so sorry. I just made that all about me. And as long as you're being genuine, nope, that's fine. I kept asking questions for a reason. They're going to reciprocate. They're going to want to continue that conversation so that they can do the same for you. And that's when you're really going to make connections. So absolutely.
Yeah, I like to say a conversation is like driving on the highway. You don't want to go into a traffic jam, but you can take lots of exits and come back on, because whatever someone's telling you, you determine where you want to keep taking that conversation to.
mhm. How can building real connections lead to more career and business opportunities?
I think the biggest thing is knowing what you do and your ask. How can someone help you? When people say that, they genuinely mean, how can they help you? And if you don't know how, to ask for that help, that you're already putting yourself in a detriment. They may not have the answer for you in the moment, but they're going to remember you. If you are memorable, then they're going to help you get those clients. It may not be today. It could be 3 months from now. It could be 6 months from now. But the more clear you are with what you do, and it's easy for someone else to repeat back, the easier it's going to be to keep building those relationships.
Absolutely. How can professionals turn networking challenges into lasting relationships?
I think a big thing with the challenge is one, overcoming it. So we often tell ourselves stories, and a lot of people that I work with or a lot of my clients, they don't like going to events by themselves or just in general. And when I get deeper into that conversation with them as to why, it's often because they're afraid of what the other person is going to say. But the funny thing is that everybody that's going to an event has that thought going through their head. It doesn't matter if they've been there before, they've never been there before. And once we go into spaces and we realize that there's opportunity to connect with someone, it will bring more opportunities for us. And what I like to tell people, to a lot of my clients, is that it doesn't matter if we like the same thing that they do or our business is complementary to them. It's about what can we learn from this person, whether it be something that interests them or something that they do. And to build that back, let's just say, for example, before we got on here, you said we were talking about the Super Bowl and you mentioned, I want anybody to win as long as it's not the Chiefs. We didn't get into that further, but I could have asked you, oh, who is your football team? Obviously it may not be the Eagles, but who is your team? Do you have a team that you like?
For the longest time, it was the Chiefs, and that's why I'm like bandwagoning it.
Okay.
So that's why I don't really follow it. So
All right. So you don't like the Chiefs anymore. So maybe we talk about another sport. Oh, you don't like the Chiefs. Do you watch another sport besides football? But you can make that conversation go in different directions. But the next time we talk and I remember that, or I might see something else, then I might send that to you. I'd be like, oh, Anthony, I just saw this. Want to share it with you. Or you might dislike the Chiefs and all of a sudden there's like anti-Chief stuff happening anyway. And I'm like, oh, I just saw this, thought of you. That's a great way to keep building upon it.
absolutely. No, and that's if you can pick up a little bit from a conversation and just use it later, they're gonna remember that because you took the time to remember. People like to reciprocate, so whatever you're
Yeah.
putting out there, it's going to come back, whether it's them listening in as intently as you did or them remembering a bit more about you, and that's going to put you on a higher end of the networking bell curve, right? You have two sides of the bell curve and the extremes that people remember. You have your pitch slappers that come in and they talk about themselves, they never shut up, and they're there to sell you. You're going to remember them forever because you're never going to want to talk to them again. Then you have everybody in the middle at varying stages of it. Then you have the people on the very far side that do exactly what you said. They listen, they engage, they ask good questions, and they innately want to help you, right? They don't ask for anything. What can I do to help you? You're going to remember that person for the opposite of the pitch slapper. I want to help them. I want to reciprocate. I want to be that person. Get better so that you're on that end of it. So absolutely. Is there?
And just a key piece on that too is a follow-up. So if you're meeting someone and you say you're going to do something, do it. Because the people that follow up, those are the people with the golden nuggets that are going to make networking be something more than just a transaction. That's when the relationships start to build.
Absolutely. Yeah. You're never going to have the one meeting that's going to lead to everything. You're going to have 4, 5, 10, 20 meetings until you're like, hey, you know what? And then it happens. So yeah. Invest in that. Is there anything that I missed or failed to ask that you wanted to add?
Not off the top of my head. I mean, I think we talked a lot about the basics of networking and what that looks like. The only other thing that I would say is go into conversations not expecting anything either, whether it be something that you're going to give or something that you're going to get out of it. It's more about how can I learn from somebody? And it's okay to have informational networking conversations too, just to learn. I hate using the phrase pick my brain or pick your brain. I like informational conversations better, but it's okay to learn from others. We're all here. We all have things to give. And when you can give something back to somebody, do it, because they will remember you and they will want to help you as well.
Yep, absolutely. Don't have, a goal going into the conversation. Just have the conversation, be in the conversation. So
Yeah.
absolutely. For those that want to be better networkers, how can they get a hold of you? Where can they find you?
The best way to find me is on LinkedIn and also on my website.
Perfect. And I'll take that and I'll copy it all into the show notes so nobody has to look for it. If anybody wants to get in touch with Rachel, do it, right? Have that conversation. Get better at the part that we all need to get better at. We all network. We all want to build connections, whether you're a business owner, whether you're an employee, whether you're a college student, doesn't matter. We all need to communicate better and understand how we can make those connections. So have that conversation, reach out. If somebody would like to get a hold of me, you can find me at ikag.me. You can find more episodes, subscribe to our newsletter, and connect with awesome people in our growing community like Rachel. If you or somebody you know would like to be interviewed, you can also apply on the website. But Rachel, I really appreciate you taking the time and coming on. You're doing awesome things, and a lot of people could benefit from what you're teaching, because the more people out there that know how to communicate and know how to network, it's kind of the rising tide lifting all ships. Because if we're all out there helping one another and doing it in an authentic way, going back to the beginning, it's nothing but good. So let's all take that nugget and run with it. Have an awesome day and go grow our circles. All right.
Awesome. Thanks, Anthony.
My pleasure.